I traded full-time for 2 years, living only 100% off of my trading income from 2020 to 2022. And let me tell you, it was absolutely brutal to get to that point. I started trading back in 2016. I spent $10,000 on forex courses because I was an idiot. I blew countless accounts time and time again, and it was just miserable. It was absolutely terrible. But eventually something clicked. After spending all of this money, I finally learned a few lessons, 7 specifically, that helped me find consistency, helped me find profitability, and it allowed me to trade full time. And so these are the 7 habits, the ultimate 7 habits to make you a better trader. Habit number 1, for years I was struggling, not because my strategy didn't work, but because I was getting in my own way. I was getting emotional. I was playing with my trades, both when they were in profit and when they were running a loss. And so eventually I ingrained into my brain that I needed to set and forget. Now, before you click away, we've all heard this before, but there is one specific strategy slash tool slash method that I finally implemented that made the difference for me. Because it's easy to say, oh, set and forget. Executing that is a completely different story. And so here is how it works. You're going to cut your position size in half. You're going to take the trade and then you're just going to forget about it. You're going to put your take profit levels and your stop loss levels and you're going to walk away. Now, after cutting your position size in half, if you're still thinking about it, if you're still stressing about it, if you're still playing with your trade, the position size is still too large. So if you're playing with it, cut it again. So 1 lot down to half a lot. If that's still too much, go down to 0.25. If that's too much, go down to 0.125. You want to get to the point where you can take a trade and not stress about it. I can take a 0.01 lot trade and literally forget about it for the rest of my life. You want to find what that minimum threshold is, and then over time, you want to increase it. You want to build up that habit of taking a trade, walking away, forgetting about it. And for me, this made a massive difference. Number 2, everyone says they have a trading plan, but most of the time the reality is your trading plan is just in your head. You have these set of rules in your head, but because they're in your head, they are malleable. So writing your trading plan down on paper by hand, it seems archaic, it seems silly, but for me, it made a huge difference. I swear, it's so simple, but it made a difference. I wrote down every single rule that I had, and it forced me to actually follow them, because if I have the rules right here, if I take a losing trade and the losing trade is because I didn't follow the plan, I only have myself to blame. Whereas before, if the rules are in my head, I can convince myself, no, the rule was there, it met my trading plan, so on and so forth. But writing it down makes it black and white, makes it objective, and made me a much better trader. Number 3 is quality over quantity, A+ setups. We hear this all the time online, but I like to ask myself a question that is more approachable. There's 2 things that I like to ask myself. When I was first trying to get funded back in 2020, before taking a trade, I would ask myself, if this trade meant that I failed the challenge, if I took this trade and it was a loss and that loss meant that I would fail my entire challenge, could I live with that? If the answer is no, that means the setup isn't good enough. It's not an A+ setup. Whereas if I take a trade and I ask myself, can I live with the loss that would result in me failing the challenge? If I can say yes, that means that it fit my trading plan perfectly. That meant that I couldn't do anything better. It is the perfect setup. And so by asking yourself that question, it's a fantastic filter to determine whether or not it actually is an A+ setup. The second question is also a good one. I want you to imagine a situation where your entire net worth is dependent on your very next trade. There's a gun to your head. You have to take a trade, and the result of that trade will dictate whether you keep your entire net worth or you lose everything that you have. So you're looking at the setup, ask yourself, you're in this situation. Could you live with that outcome? Could you take this trade? Would you execute that trade if the gun was to your head? If the answer is yes, then take the trade. It's a fantastic setup. But if you start second guessing yourself, doubting yourself, then the setup probably isn't as good as it needs to be. Number 4, when I was trading full time and even before that, I had so much downtime, and I wish I could get that time back because I could not have spent it more unproductively. I would just stare at my laptop for hours on hours, just looking at the charts, looking at my phone, scrolling absolute nonsense. I wasted so much time because great trading is efficient trading and it doesn't take much time. I can do everything in 30 minutes or less in a single day. And so because of that, we need to use that downtime productively. If we're just staring at the charts, we are bound to make emotional decisions. We're bound to make errors. And so use that time to start a business. Even if you don't make any money with it, the skills that you will learn, the experience that you will gain, trying to monetize a hobby, start a small business, whatever it is, use that time productively because trading not only offers freedom of location, unlimited earning potential, it also offers you the ability to use your downtime productively. Number 6, operate like a 10-year-old. When I was helping traders back in 2021, I would always ask them if your 10-year-old nephew or cousin were to copy your analysis, were to copy your strategy, could they do it? Could they understand it? If the answer is yes, then I think you are onto something. I am not a fan of ICT. It's so subjective. If it works for you, don't listen to anything that I'm saying. But personally, I just find it so subjective. There's so much mumbo jumbo, specifically to keep you in the loop of thinking you're being productive watching all of these videos. Anyways, my thesis and philosophy is that if your 10-year-old nephew or cousin can copy your strategy, you are doing something right. Keeping it simple has always made me more money than trying to overcomplicate things. Number 7, it is all about the law of large numbers. If you get any takeaway from this video, I hope that it is this point. Don't focus on the next trade, focus on the next 100. You see, you don't get to determine when your edge plays out. It could play out in the next trade or the one after that or the one after that. You don't get to decide. But if you focus on the next 100 trades, you know that over time, your edge will play out. It's exactly how a casino operates. A casino understands that it has its own edge. It has the house advantage. However, it doesn't get to decide what happens at the next blackjack hand or that table over there. It just knows that by the end of the year, their edge will play out. And so they focus on the large sample size rather than just one night or one table or one hand. These are the 7 habits that made me a much better trader. I hope they somehow positively impact your trading. If you have any questions, leave them down below. We'll see you in the next one. And until then, peace.